So, yesterday I talked about what do you guys do on the bus? And in one of my stories, I talk about this kid who didn't pay for his fare, which led to the bus being stopped by the bus driver because he was just fed up with this guy. And what do you know? Today I run into the exact same bus driver, and the exact same kid happened to hop onto this bus. And let me just say, it happened again. This time it was 20 times more worse because I was actually late to work today. And if you didn't watch my video yesterday, that time the bus driver only stopped for maybe about a minute or two, and I was early. So nothing really bad happened, and it was all good. The kid learned his lesson, which is what I thought would happen, and he paid his fare. Okay, he paid his fare too. But today, it was 20 times worse. Not only did this kid come in with the exact same excuse, which now I kind of understand from the driver's perspective, because when I was talking about it the other day, I was like, I might have been a little harsh. Nah. This kid definitely deserved it. This time, he had no remorse. He just came in, did the same old thing. He did not pay. He sat there. Last time he pretended to call his mom. This time he literally just sat there in silence. And the bus driver, oh my gosh, he was heated. It was so much more worse too, because he came out of his little box thing again. But this time he opened up both doors like he did last time. But he just stood there. He stood there for a good 5 minutes, I would say. 5 minutes, and I was getting a little worried. At that 5 minute mark, I was like, oh shoot, at this point, I might as well just wait for the next bus to come in, because this is a little bit outrageous. And I was beginning to think he wasn't even going to go. I thought we were just going to be standing there or stranded for the entire time. But he eventually did go. Again, 10 minutes. 10 minutes we were there. I timed it. And I was late because I normally take another bus after, I take two buses, but I take another bus after I get on this first one. And not only did I miss that bus, but because I was so late on getting to the second bus, I missed my train. But yeah, all I wanted to say is, here's an update. Kid didn't learn his lesson, and I thought he would have, but I guess he didn't. It's very unfortunate how that ended. But I will have to say this, because I missed my second bus, I've never taken the second bus so late before. So I don't know if you've ever been on a bus so many times that you start to recognize the people. Like, I have a certain schedule. I try to make, let's just say, the 7 a.m. bus, right? And the second bus I take is around 7:20. So let's say I always take the 7:20 bus, And sometimes I've gone to the point where I've been going to work for 6 months now, and I'm starting to recognize, the familiar faces, the locals around here, And when I got on this bus today, I genuinely did not recognize anyone at all. And like I said, if you didn't watch that last video, I'm a very weird person, and I stare into nothingness while listening to my music. But when I do that, I tend to notice the people that are on the bus. And yeah, I've started to recognize some people sometimes when I go on to the 7:20 bus, like, oh, it's that person or whatever. And, a lot of people don't really change their outfits for, like, winter gear, like, we're always wearing the same jacket, the same winter jacket, winter boots. So it's very easy to tell who's who and whatnot. But I got into this bus, I did not recognize anyone. And I was like, wow, this is very different. This is a very different group of people. It was moderately full. I still managed to get a seat in my spot that I like, but yeah, it was very funny to be like, wow, I actually genuinely don't see a person that I recognize on this bus. Low key, can't even lie, there were a couple fine people on that bus. There were some beauties on there, but obviously I was more worried about me getting to work on time, so I did not really care. And speaking of which, of course, out of all the times where this had to happen, when I was going on the train, there had to be a fare inspector. Now, normally fare inspectors happen to be on the train, but for some strange reason, they had the fare inspector on the platform right before you board the train. And that's never happened to me before. Again, seriously, so many first times this week, but this has genuinely never happened. I think I've heard about this implementation before, though. Like a couple weeks ago, they were saying they were implementing fare inspectors on the platform, but I've never seen it until now. And so it's been really odd because number one, I just find it like really dumb because I feel like it's easy to avoid them on the platform. Normally they're on the train, but again, before the platform, man, there's so many ways you could dodge this. You know, the first thing that came into my mind is just don't go on the platform until you're ready to board the train. There's this kind of little tunnel area between the bus and the train where I like to hide out. And it's not because I'm trying to avoid fare inspectors or anything, but it's just because it's cold outside. And, I like to be in this tunnel area because it's warm. And, I'll come out right when the train arrives and, it'll be fine. And like I said, like, there's no need for them to be a fare inspector right before the train. Like, it's just a waste of time, to be honest. And, a lot of people could just be like, oh, I forgot to tap. Let me go tap. Because we have this machine where you tap it like a debit or credit card just to, say that you paid your fare or whatever. And so, like, you could be like, oh, I forgot to tap. And you go back and tap. And so it's not really like a big thing because, versus when you're on the train, you actually can catch people who don't pay. But whatever. I just thought it was really dumb. And it also had to happen on the day that I was late, so that's just great. And again, I paid my fare, so I didn't get caught or anything, but it just looked really dumb. Why did this happen to me?